So the first pair we are going to look into is descriptive versus analytical research. Now, descriptive research, as the name suggests, focuses on describing things, describing experiences, describing events, describing emotions. Here, the research focus is in such a way that it gives more importance to the descriptive aspects of the research. So here surveys or interviews are taken, various relevant methods are used so that the descriptive information is collected. The focus is on collecting descriptive information. So, for example, instead of just giving a questionnaire about your personality, you are asked an open-ended questions that describe your personality. What do you think? You know, you're an introvert or you're an extrovert. Instead of giving them questionnaire and taking very objective data, you actually let the person describe the event or whatever variable you are studying. So obviously the effective methods here are survey, interview, because they allow for open-ended questions and actually facilitate descriptive information. The opposite type is obviously analytical. Now, analytical research is where, obviously, as opposite, descriptions are not that much important, but focuses on analysis. So, in descriptive researches, mostly the focus is on understanding something. In analytical research, the focus is on trying to explain the phenomena, why it happens, how it happens, how we can control it, or how we can manipulate it. So it's more about conclusions, drawing inferences. So when we do our projects where we have hypothesis and we test our hypothesis, that is generally an analytical research because our focus is on analyzing something. Here the researcher uses facts, collects data in such a way that that data can be analyzed further. Mm, when we interpret relationships between two variables, or sometimes when we are actually trying to find the causal relationship that this variable causes that variable, this kind of relationship, then we are obviously using analytical research, because without analysis we can't establish any such causal relationship. Without analysis we can't prove or disprove any hypothesis. So that is analytical research. The second pair we are going to look into is fundamental versus applied. The fundamental research, as the name itself suggests, is a very basic research. It's also called as basic research or pure research. Why it is called fundamental? Because the focus here is to gain knowledge, is to understand the phenomena. It is not about the practical use of that knowledge, but it is more about, you know, expanding our knowledge, discovering new information. For example, I'll give you very easy, like very basic example of, we say that when what really started all these discoveries and all that, what was the most important discovery for humankind? Most probably the discovery of fire. How? What is fire? How can you light a fire? How can you extinguish a fire? How can you control a fire? Now these questions, these will come under fundamental research. And if they would come under any research, they would come under fundamental research. Why? Because they are actually about knowing the phenomena, understanding a phenomena, understanding the concept. What is this fire? How can we, why uh, something picks fire, why something gets alighted, or something picks fire where some other object won't catch fire? Why does this happen? So it's all about understanding the phenomena. The full focus here about understanding the concept, and it's not about using the concept, and that's why it's called as fundamental or pure or basic research, when we are actually trying to understand a concept. But when a research is more focused on using the information, suppose, so in this example, mankind already has discovered fire. It knows how to light fire, how to extinguish fire, and in some way how to control fire. So it knows a lot about fire. So fundamental research about fire, suppose, is done. But the next step is applying that knowledge for practical purposes. Now that comes under applied research aspect. So suppose we are a tribe of the tribe in old age where we have understood fire and the basic aspects of fire, but now we want to use it, and we are trying to figure out how we can use this fire to melt a metal, how we can use this fire to cook certain food. So suppose we are doing a research or we are doing trial and error. They are also, in a way, they are research, very crude researches. But we are trying to understand how can I use this fire for cooking my food. Then there would be, sometimes there would be a lot much fire than required, the food would get burnt. Sometimes there would be very less fire, the food would remain undercooked. Then by manipulating, as we manipulate the IV, by trying different combinations of fire and vessel and something like that, we would actually understand, oh, this much is fire is required for this kind of food. If we are cooking vegetables, we can do with less fire. If we are cooking meat, we need more fire. So this information, this is like applied research. When we are trying to use the fundamental knowledge for solving some practical problem, when it's solution oriented, uh, when this research would actually help to apply the knowledge for some practical purpose, then such researches are called as applied researches. An example, a psychology based example here would be, fundamental research would be finding a new uh, psychotherapeutic or counseling method, or finding a new drug. So finding a new chemical formation that could be used as drug. So that would be fundamental, mm, research. But for which disorder we can use this drug, in how much quantity we need to use this drug for certain disorder, that would be applied research. For example, there's in medicine, I believe there are very some of the basic medicines which are being used for centuries, like paracetamol, like crocin we take, or ibuprofen, which have there are still people who are trying. So the fundamental research about it is done long back. You know, mankind knows the use of is using paracetamol for say 100 plus years. But in some new disorder, or in some disorder where it hasn't been tried, and trying, oh, would it help this disorder, and then you know doing research on that, that would be applied research for paracetamol. Fundamental research for paracetamol has been done long back. So that's how fundamental research generally comes first, because it's for the sake of knowledge. Applied research is later on because it focuses on various uses of the same knowledge.